never forget the day I saw Ralph and Lola intertwined in a way that shocked the entire village. But before that moment of horror, their story began with whispers of romance that caught fire in the darkness of night. Ralph arrived in our village with charm and confidence, his smile lighting up the room. He was a traveler, a man full of life, and soon he won the hearts of everyone, including Lola. First, she was the chief's wife, known for her beauty and grace, but behind her warm smile lay a longing that matched Ralph's own. It started innocently enough. I remember the first time I saw them exchange glances at a village gathering. Ralph was telling a funny story and Lola laughed a little too loudly, brushing her hair behind her ear as she caught his gaze. I could see the seeds of attraction blooming right before my eyes, but I thought little of it at the time. Lola smiled, her eyes sparkling. "You make me feel alive, Ralph, in a way I haven't felt in years." That moment was electric. I could sense the pulse of their chemistry from where I stood, like a chord struck in my heart. I knew this was more than just innocent flirtation. As the nights passed, their encounters grew bolder. I heard laughter and soft music drifting from Ralph's house late into the night, fueling my imagination. I often caught glimpses of them through the window, holding hands, shy kisses, stolen moments of bliss that made my heart race. They were lost in each other, blind to the world around them. One particular night, the air was thick with warmth and desire. Ralph had invited Lola over for dinner. As I discreetly passed by, the soft glow of candlelight caught my attention. The atmosphere was intimate, filled with soft music and laughter. I couldn't help but peek through the window. Their eyes were locked, and they shared whispered secrets and soft caresses. I watched as Ralph leaned in closer, brushing Lola's cheek with his fingers. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like to be free?" he asked, his voice low and inviting. "Every day," Lola replied, her gaze flickering to her wedding ring, a constant reminder of the life she felt trapped in. As the night progressed, the mood shifted. Ralph kissed Lola and time seemed to stand still. She melted into him, her body responding to his every touch. The way they held each other was both tender and passionate, and I felt shame for invading their privacy. But that night, something in the air shifted. Hours later, I saw them retreat into Ralph's bedroom, the door closing behind them. My heart raced as I contemplated what they were doing, knowing the risks they were taking. Days turned into weeks, and their passion only deepened. As they continued to meet, their stolen moments became more intense. Their kisses were longer, more heated, and I could sense the desperation in them, the need to be together, to escape the watchful eyes of the village. One fateful night, I heard laughter and music spilling from Ralph's house again. It drew me in, like a moth to a flame. I glanced around. Nobody seemed to be watching. Curiosity overwhelmed me, so I crept closer, wanting to witness the forbidden love that had become the talk of the village. Through a crack in the door, I saw them together, their bodies close on the couch, caught in a whirlwind of passion. Ralph's hands roamed over Lola's skin, igniting a fire that took hold of them both. They were lost in each other, oblivious to the world around them. But I noticed something soon after. The look in their eyes began to shift from desire to desperation. They moved to the bedroom, still entwined in fervor, lost in a moment that felt infinite. Time seemed to blur, and their passion soared higher and higher. It was in that intensity, however, that they fell victim to something darker. As bodies entwined and desire peaked, they found themselves incapable of pulling apart, the magic of the night turning into something horrifying. Suddenly they were stuck, trapped together in a pose of passion. I felt the chill run down my spine when I heard their panicked voices fill the air. "Ralph, what's happening? I can't pull away," Lola gasped, breathless and wide-eyed with fear. "I don't know. I thought it was just a moment of bliss," Ralph replied, his expression shifting from pleasure to sheer terror. News of their entrapment spread quickly, and soon the whole village gathered outside Ralph's house, shocked and whispering among themselves. Peering through the windows, they knew right away what had happened. Lola was under a charm placed by the chief himself, a punishment meant to keep her from straying. The chief's men barged in, dragging Ralph and Lola out of the house, still entwined, their bodies a mix of confusion and horror. Laughter echoed as people realized what truly transpired in that stolen moment. "Look at them," someone shouted, laughter bubbling up like an unstoppable wave. A herbalist was called to the scene, and Lola's face turned crimson, filled with shame. Ralph's pride had vanished. He looked weak, fear washing over him. With the entire village watching, the herbalist began to work, but it was a long and agonizing process. For 2 hours, the herbalist worked tirelessly amidst the rising laughter of the crowd. I felt sorry for them. Shame draped itself over Ralph and Lola like a heavy cloak. The moment that had brought them such ecstasy had transformed into a spectacle of humiliation. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the herbalist broke the spell, and Ralph and Lola fell apart, collapsing onto the ground. The relief was quickly overshadowed by the reality of what had just happened. The chief, seething with rage, watched the scene unfold, ready to exact his revenge. "I divorce you, Lola," he shouted, his voice laced with anger and hurt. The village gasped at his words. Lola stood there, tears streaming down her face as the villagers turned against her, their faces twisted in scorn. Ralph, trembling with fear and shame, quickly fled the village, knowing the chief wouldn't rest until he found him. Life changed dramatically after that night. Ralph was gone, and Lola was left to bear the burden of their love. A love that had transformed into a dark tale spoken in hushed voices. The village slowly returned to normal, but the echoes of their passion lingered in the air, a permanent reminder of how desire could lead to ruin.